Hi everyone, welcome to the last part of AWS interview question series which I faced during my recent interviews. The only request before starting this video is please be honest during your interviews as it increases your chances of selection. Now, the first question is question number 21 as it is a continuation part and all the questions in this particular video are scenario based. First question is my instance has 200 GB as the OS disk drive, but I'm not using the entire space. I want to decrease the space and share it with D drive. How I can do that? Now in AWS we cannot decrease the size of the EBS volume, however we can increase that. So for the D drive we can increase the size from the console, or if you're using CLI you can do that using CLI as well. Now the next question is I'm using a network load balancer and facing many issues while using it. I want to create a new network load balancer which can be configured in place of the old load balancer to route the traffic. I don't want any configuration changes. Whatever IP I have provided for my old load balancer, I don't want to change that. How I can achieve this? Now this is an easy answer, but sometimes we forget this. That is, we can use elastic IP since we are talking about network load balancer. Now what is an elastic IP? An elastic IP address is a reserved public IP address that you can assign to an EC2 instance in a particular region until you choose to release it. The next question is my EC2 instance is unable to communicate to RDS instance. How you are going to troubleshoot it? For these kind of questions, everyone will have their different approach. I answered in this manner. Will verify the port number is allowed in the security group of my EC2 instance. Will verify if RDS is running or not. Will verify the EC2 instance entry in RDS security group in case we are using AWS RDS service. Will check ACL. Will verify the communication using the trace RT, etc. and so on. Next question is what do you mean by sticky session in terms of load balancer? With sticky sessions, a load balancer assigns an identifying attribute to a user, typically by issuing a cookie or by tracking their IP details. Then according to the tracking ID, a load balancer can start routing all the requests of the user to a specific server for the duration of the session. Basically, until the request is fulfilled, a user request will be directed towards a single server behind the load balancer. Now the next question is I have a network load balancer. I want to block the traffic from some specific IPs. How should I achieve this? Now this is a tricky question. Sometimes the interviewer will ask wrong questions or will try to check how much you are listening to them. So the answer is we can block the IPs at the target instance security group, because we are talking about network load balancer and network load balancer does not have any security group directly associated with it. The next question is for a banking application, I want to use 5 instances behind the load balancer for user fund transaction authentication. Which load balancer function should be useful for this use case? Answer is sticky session or session affinity. Next question is create 4 instances having web server of your choice. Automate it in such a way that it optimizes cost. Document the solution. So these kind of scenarios are given to you, and usually the time given to perform these scenarios is 1 day or sometimes as soon as possible. So I have wrote down the services which I utilize for this use case. You can try and resolve this kind of scenario on your own. That's the reason I'm not going to explain the complete answer. The services which I used are IAM, EC2, AWS Lambda, CloudWatch, VPC. Now you have to justify your answers as well, because the same scenario can be performed using different services as well. So please be prepared for that kind of case as well. The next question is configure S3 in such a way that if an object gets uploaded to the S3, it should send a message to the user on their phone and the logs are stored for the same in another S3 bucket. Document and justify your answer. Again, I have specified the services which I use for this particular use case, that is S3, AWS Lambda, SQS, SNS and IAM. You can check this particular scenario on your own. You can try to resolve it and you can find the best solution for it. Now the last question for this video is a user is unable to access a service resource in AWS account. How you are going to troubleshoot this issue? The answer for this can be different for different people. I try to answer in this manner. I will always check initially if the user is having all the provided policies so that they can access the resource. There are 6 different types of policies. In AWS, I will check if the policy is assigned or if anything is blocking. That is all for this particular video. Thank you so much for your time and patience. I really appreciate your support. Please do share this video with someone who can utilize this information. I would love to hear their stories if they are able to clear any kind of interview utilizing my videos. Once again, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day. I will be continuing the series on different technologies. For example, the next series might be Linux interview questions. So stay tuned, do subscribe and comment your feedback. Take care.